This week for Quick Tip Tuesday, we're talking about overhead carries. At this time of the year, a lot of our guys are taking some time off of throwing or have a very low throwing volume and intensity. So we're going to spend some time building up some other tissue capacities that we don't get to address during the year, especially during an intense period of competition like the spring or the summer. So when we want to spend some time addressing deficiencies that we have overhead, first of them being shoulder flexion. So if we have guys that are limited in shoulder flexion, they will not be doing these exercises. We want guys that do have the necessary movement capacity to even get into this position in the first place. Once we establish that, we're going to start really just carrying heavier objects overhead. It's almost like an isometric for your shoulder and more of like a fully flexed position. And then there's obviously some dynamic stabilization in there as well, because you're walking, you're moving, you're trying not to wiggle or wobble too much. So we may start with something just like a plate. This is a 45-pound plate, and you can go as heavy as you can, really, without possibly dropping on your head would be the main concern here. We want to get in a position where our elbows are locked out, our hands are directly over our head, and we're not arching our back to get to this position. Again, if we're doing this with someone, they should have the necessary shoulder flexion, so they should be able to bring the rib cage down and in. So if we look here, I'm not going to lose any height. I'm just going to exhale. Rib cage is going to drop. I'm going to hold my rib cage in that stacked position there, and then go overhead. That's the position that I want to hold as I'm doing the overhead carry. The other cue that we may use is we want to feel tension in our stomach, our ribs down, like someone would punch us there. Someone's going to punch you in the stomach. You're going to bring your rib cage down. You're going to be more of a stacked position. Be nice and tight. You're not going to be arching your back if someone's going to punch you in the stomach. So that's another cue that works well. If we're going to a single arm carry, we're going to do less weight, obviously, and we're going to look more at the stability aspect of it rather than just like a pure how much can you hold. So we may go kettlebell, and we can go bottoms down or bottoms up. Two different exercises, but for this purpose, we're going to go bottoms up. So we're going to have here straight overhead, more of a neutral grip position with the forearm, and then same thing, ribs down. And I'm going to hold this here. You can see that my arms are already moving a lot more. It's going to require a lot more stability. And you should get some more dynamic stabilization with that. To the same degree, you would go to a medicine ball. Now we have a round object, basically trying to carry it like a pizza tray or a waiter would as we go. So same idea, we're here. This is going to be moving around a lot more because it is a ball, it's circular. So a little bit less weight with that, and we're getting a little bit of a different stimulus. As we advance, we can go something heavier and offset. So for this instance, we can use the bar, load up just one side. You should probably have a clip on that side. Go overhead, and now we're really stressing the opposite side oblique as well. So my right oblique here is going to be working hard to make sure that I don't tip over to the left. So I'm going to be doing this. I'll get the benefit of carrying something heavy over my head and the benefit of the opposite side oblique working along with both shoulders, but primarily the opposite shoulder in that case. So a few different ideas. Make sure you progress them slowly. Don't start with a 45-pound bar and a 45-pound plate. That's ridiculous. Work your way up. Use some type of progressive overload just like you would with a bench press or a squat. Make sure that your ribs are in a good position the entire time you do it. As we talked about before, if we don't have the rib cage in good position, we don't have that foundation, we're wasting our time with a lot of the other accessory exercises we do with the posterior shoulder or the rotator cuff. So get that rib cage in good position. Make sure you're holding that the whole time. Don't get carried away with the amount of weight you're doing. Really work on the quality of movement and progress slowly.